Everybody, this is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on August the 21st in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some great information for you tonight. Let me go ahead and click over here to Murtech on Rumble. There we go. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 2016. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it, so let's go ahead and jump into that. Okay, Debbie BS has joined us in the chat. Thank you so very much. Let me close that out. I'll get back with you momentarily. All right, let's slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. We have information from Vince on the Bongino Report or Silver Lock. Also, Doug in Exile, ACLJ Sekulow, Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, let me give a shout out here to DKH just started following my channel. Power of Good just started following my channel. Mama1940 just started following my channel. Nick Ori just started following my channel. LT Dunbar just started following my channel. And Eaton9 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Susan Coates, 59, commented on my daily news wrap up. Sorry. Scramble Pad commented on my daily news wrap up. Finney70 commented on my episode 1999. Debbie BS commented on my extra 798A, 798B, and 798C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I greatly appreciate that. I going to give you a thumbs up here, and thank you so very much for your support. Okay, let's get into this. I got a little tickle here in my throat. But anyway, Vince Coglianese, Foiled Before the Fuse, episode 355. Let's go ahead and check this out. Here we go.
Boom. This. Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm one of the interview threads today because we got a big interview coming up with a great Interior Secretary of the United States. And the conversation we're about to have is about Freedom 250. Freedom 250, the big Grand Prix IndyCar coming to Washington, D.C. The streets of D.C. have been converted into a racetrack. Pretty exciting. For more on this, I want to bring in the Secretary of the Interior. Now, Doug Burgum stops by the program. Sir, it's nice to have you back. Thank you very much.
Hey, Vince, great to be here. And what an exciting weekend for America. 250 miles of racing on our 250th birthday.
What does it take to set something up like this? I mean, it does. I imagine the logistics of this are a little bit more complicated than most people realize.
Way beyond that. But I want to just say, give a shout out to the National Park Service, the U.S. Park Police, which is part of Interior. They work here in Interior. But since the fireworks stopped after midnight on the 4th of July, like literally minutes after that, work began on trying to get this city ready to hold an IndyCar race. 147 laps, a 1.7 mile track going around the National Mall. So many people, helping out on this. Big shout out, thank you to Sean Duffy and the Department of Transportation, as well as all the people on Interior who are responsible for these streets here. But and then Penske and Fox Sports coming in. I mean, this is free and open to the public. Never before in an IndyCar race. Going to be live on TV. There's practice laps tomorrow. There's a Legends race tomorrow afternoon with Indianapolis 500 winners, NASCAR winners racing each other. And then Sunday, the big race at 1:10 p.m. live on Fox Sports and live on the mall. People could come for free and just watch it on the big screens on the mall. Over the next today, there's some hot laps practice going on too. There could be 1 million people that see this race in person between now and Sunday on this racetrack, all built. And one small detail, you've got to go in and weld the manhole covers to the ground, because when you've got a car going 180, 190 miles an hour over the top of a manhole, the suction can actually lift up the manhole cover and send it flying. So the amount of detail that's gone on to convert these famous streets, Constitution, Independence, Pennsylvania Avenue, convert these streets into a race car track for Indy open wheel racing. I mean, it's been incredible. Kudos to the team. We're excited about a great weekend of racing.
This feels like something that happens a lot in Europe, that they convert city streets into racetracks for a short amount of time. Not something that we've done a lot in the United States. I could be wrong about that, but this seems like a very unusual event, especially, obviously, it's totally exceptional to have it in the nation's capital, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the most famous one is when the Formula One folks convene on Monaco every year, and they race on the streets of Monaco, a lot of tight corners. And here, Formula One around the world has brought that to Las Vegas, where they're racing on the streets here. But the last time there was a race on the streets of Washington, D.C., was horse racing when Thomas Jefferson was president. So it's been a long time, 225 plus years since there's been racing in D.C. But what an event this is going to be. And again, of course, racing it's about competition. It's about innovation. It's about pushing it to the limits. And of course, that's the kind of thing that created American greatness. So how fitting for us, and kudos to President Trump. This idea was stalled out in Congress, like a lot of things. The Penske organization met 83 times with different people in Congress, couldn't get to yes. They came to President Trump last January and said, how about we get this thing not around the Capitol, but around the National Mall? And 5 days later, Sean Duffy and I were standing in the Oval Office with the president as he announced this race coming to D.C.
By the way, I believe you said, was it 147 laps? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
147.
Yeah.
1.7 miles per lap. That comes out to 250 miles by design, right?
Exactly. 250 for our 250th. And that's a little bit longer, about 20% longer than a typical IndyCar race. So for the teams and the drivers, the amount of G-force they're pulling on a 7-turn track like this, physically exhausting, and it's going to require an extra pit stop. So the racing is going to be really interesting, and there's plenty of places on these streets wide enough to pass. So this is going to be an exceptional course. Penske organization, the IndyCar organization, very fired up about how this track is going to work to create a very competitive race.
Yes. And also they must, like, in addition to just like picking scenic locations, you must have to think through like all of the curves and stuff too. There must be some, like a course engineer who had to really contemplate whether or not the physics were possible for this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some very tight corners on this track. And then, of course, the fan experience matters. But I think there's been close to $70 million of build out, zero taxpayer dollars. That's coming from the Penske organization, building multi-story suites for sponsors. Because, of course, with car racing like this, it's the logos on the car that have their sponsors in the stands. They're the ones that are paying for all the infrastructure to make this happen. But this is a real race course. But again, it's, come and watch on the big screens or watch on TV. It's going to be an exceptional weekend. Have
you been an IndyCar fan? You like car racing at all, Doug Burgum?
Well, I do. But of course, growing up in North Dakota, the only thing we had there was, quarter mile and eighth mile dirt track racing with the hobby stocks. And but that was the thing when we were growing up in North Dakota. Everybody, heading to the racetrack. And my wife, the former first lady of North Dakota, she had a brother-in-law who was racing, so she grew up hanging out at the pits in these little country racetracks. So, but I think America loves racing.
Yeah.
And when we think about IndyCar. The drivers that are driving, 25 drivers, 25 cars, and saying literally the best drivers coming from around the world that compete in this thing. So this is I want to call this America's Formula One, but it's the way to think about this, because this goes back to the earliest racing that happened, in Indianapolis 500, one of the famous and one of the most oldest. One of the oldest race courses in the racing in the country. And of course, in those first races, they were hitting unimaginable speeds like 70 miles an hour, 125.
Yeah, now we're doing that in caravans on I-95. But these cars, I was looking up the acceleration. I don't even know if Google was right on this subject, but this seems fast. 0 to 100 miles per hour in 3 seconds. I mean, they're hauling these cars.
Oh, yeah. This is like strapping yourself to a rocket. And they'll be at speeds faster than what many small airplanes fly when they're flying. They'll be literally flying down these streets. So it's going to be, like I said, very exciting weekend.
Tell me about the president's involvement in setting all of this up. I know he always involves himself in the details, especially with a celebration of America. What's he been doing in the midst of all of this?
Well, the first thing is, of course, Roger Penske, who's built this organization. He's the legend of racing in America. Has built a huge organization, and it was that phone call from Roger Penske to the president that got this whole thing unlocked and going in the first place. We were at the White House yesterday. Roger was there with the president, part of Melania's effort on foster children and fostering the future, which is, again, scholarships for foster kids. When you graduate out of foster care at age 18, often zero support, $0 coming from state and federal. These kids are getting an opportunity to apply for scholarships. And it was announced yesterday, $2 million given. Fox Sports, IndyCar Racing, and then from the state of Indiana, both Purdue and Indiana State coming together to support these $2 million of scholarships for kids for that. So the president was there yesterday kicking that off, and he's going to be there on Sunday. The checkered flag is for the finish, but the green flag is go. President Trump will be waving the green flag to kick off the race Sunday at 1 p.m. And so if anybody's watching, you'll see him. He loves sports, as you know, whether it's football, soccer, all these championship, UFC. I mean, he part of the reason why he's in tune with America is because he understands America's love of sports. And it's one of the things that we can, hopefully when we all get together and cheer for our team, hopefully we can leave some of that partisanship behind and just cheer for excellence on the field.
I have to ask you about the security that goes into this. You've got the president of the United States, a bunch of dignitaries, including yourself, going to be present at this. And then this is a very high visibility event. You've been describing all the ways that the eyes of the world will be on this race this weekend. Can you talk about the security that goes into protecting an event like this?
Well, it's in the world that we live in today, this is a consideration from the very day you start thinking about one of these events. But thankfully, the great team, again, whether it's the U.S. Park Police, the Secret Service, all the other groups that we have that work on security, have been thinking through the plan. And of course, with what we've had this summer, with the president speaking on the Mall on the eve of the 4th of July, the UFC fight, we've had a lot of experience this summer holding large events in highly secure ways to protect not just the dignitaries, but every citizen that's there. So people that are coming into these areas will go through screening. We'll make sure that, again, just like the night of the 4th of July, there was over 350,000 people that went through essentially TSA screening to be able to get into the inside the no-climb fence area around the Washington Monument for fireworks. So the team is up to the task and lots of attention put on that. And we'll make sure, and whether it's security on the ground or drones overhead, doing everything we can to make sure that Washington, D.C. is not just the most beautiful capital in the world, the most innovative capital in the world, but the safest capital in the world.
And has D.C.'s mayor been useful in this process? Muriel Bowser is the Democrat mayor of Washington, D.C. I imagine you have to deal with her a little bit as you set something like this up in the nation's capital.
Yes, and we've had an opportunity to work with her both on the Safe and Beautiful task force we've had over the last year, and on the events around the 4th of July. And she's wrapping up her 12 years as mayor, not running for re-election. So she is, I think, found herself in a spot where she can be more supportive and more collaborative because she's not running for re-election in a city that's 95% registered Democrats. So she's in this stage in her career. She's been a constructive and supportive of these events because she understands that this brings people to DC.
Yes.
Congress is out for the whole month of August. This city is normally on vacation during August. This is a time when hotels aren't filled and restaurants are empty because you've got the entire engine of the congressional wing not here. So this is perfect timing for people to come and get a hotel and spend a weekend in Washington, D.C.
But isn't that a tragic commentary that the second you don't have to appeal the Democrats for votes, you can clean up the city? You know what I mean? It's like now you can help clean up the homeless encampments and get the bad guys off the streets and celebrate America. It shouldn't be that way, sir.
Absolutely, Vince. And I think, again, what President Trump has done in Washington, D.C., it's his leadership to make DC safe and beautiful. I mean, some of the lowest crime statistics since year 1900. We've got, restored over 50 monuments, 22 fountains are flowing again that weren't flowing before. Over 150 homeless encampments are gone. Over 1,000 incidences of graffiti gone, cleaned up. The city looks so different than it has in decades, and that's just all a choice. It's a choice that we don't have to accept squalor. We don't have, and any blue city in America, blue metro area that's controlled and finds itself in a thing where you've got, as many of them do, hollowed out downtowns, decayed by homelessness and squalor and graffiti and crime. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just all about leadership. President Trump has demonstrated that just in 15 months. Less than that, was the year ago in August. We're coming up on the 12th anniversary of the task force starting for the Safe and Beautiful DC executive order. And look what this city's done in 12 months. Incredible.
It's been a huge success story, and the whole country should be proud of it. Thank you, Secretary Burgum. Appreciate your time today, and have a great time at this race this weekend, sir.
Well, we will, Vince, and thank you, and thanks to all your listeners. We obviously this administration appreciates everybody that's supporting the president's agenda. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. There he is, Secretary Doug Burgum with the Interior Department. Appreciate when he stops by. Of course, we had him early in the program today. It's just the nature of his schedule today. We said, sure, we'll take you whenever you're available. And it's great to have him here, as always. There he is. Thank you to Doug Burgum. All right, I've got more to get to on the program today, Chad. We have a lot to talk about. We've got the FBI busting a number of people, some of them Democrats, some of them jihadis, maybe some of them a combination of both. It's all ahead on this edition events coming up. I want to thank.
Okay, he's going to go into a break right now, a commercial. So I'm going to pause it here, and this will be in my daily news wrap up tonight. Also, don't you look at this? Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice that he got dressed up, for this interview? And I think it's interesting about the race there in Washington D.C. There's so much going on in Washington D.C. And all the mainstream media and the liberals are just freaking out about it. Now, if it was a Democrat president and all this was going on, they'd be praising him to high heaven. But no, they're just so fake. So two-faced, okay? Unbelievable. All right, let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Bongino Report. This is Vince. The video I shared with you, I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty, let's jump back here. And Glow has joined us in the chat. I hope everything's going all right with your husband there. I hope he's recovering well. So let's slide down here and see what Doug in Exile has to say. Newsom and Bass paid to destroy California. Sounds interesting. Let's check it out and see what he has to say.
Gavin Newsom proves he can't be trusted with your children. And Karen Bass, I don't know if she has children. I believe Bass, they swim upstream and they lay their eggs in some eddy. I'm not sure how it works. Welcome to Doug in Exile. Here's Gavin Newsom and all the California crazy. This is put together by Kevin Dalton.
Hey, Governor Gavin Newsom. First partner, good to see you. It's a brand new school year. What should we be looking forward to?
Well, look at this footage. These are kids being walked through downtown LA to school by their teachers, and they have to put them up against the wall to avoid the human waste.
You have your children's back. Happy back to school.
Happy back to school. Oh, happy back to school. We have your back. Do you trust your children with Gavin Newsom? I do not. We'll go visit San Diego at the end of the month, and I will feel the most unsafe as being within California's care, because who knows when those lunatics choose to throw us all in prison and take away our free speech. Here's Karen Bass. Apparently, they're out of money in her campaign, and she says California is going to pay for her campaign. I don't get how this works. Maybe you guys can explain this to me.
Your donation to our campaign is more critical right now than ever before. Let me explain. Thanks to LA's Supermatch program, every qualified donation from Los Angeles residents is matched 6-1 by the city.
Wait a minute. How in the world is it that you give $1 to Karen Bass, and the city of LA pays her 6 times that amount of that donation.
Yeah, there's no voter fraud, okay? So let's not worry about that, okay? There's no voter fraud, so we're in good shape there.
That's a scam. That's got to be illegal. This is bizarre.
But after the primary, we had to start over from scratch. So we need you to rush your matching donation right now to help fuel this campaign. Chip in $5 right now, and the city turns it into $35.
Wait. How does that work? Put in $5 and the city turns into $35. And by the way, LA, you're paying her to burn down your house. You're paying her to burn down your environment. Dear environmentalists, giving them money. You're paying her and Gavin Newsom to burn your house down, bring homeless in, spread needles and human feces on the sidewalks. That's all you're paying for. Holy smokes, what a scam.
Chip in $25 right now, and the city turns it into $175. Make your matching donation today. Thank you so much.
Karen Bass. Oh, man. I love LA. I was born in Norwalk, man. But you guys are going to burn that city to the ground. How do I know? Well, let's get to the election shenanigans, shall we? The thing that they keep saying isn't happening in Massachusetts is happening. Breaking. Chinese national Yu Peng Sun arrested for allegedly voting on the 2024 presidential election in Massachusetts despite not being a U.S. citizen. The thing that never happens keeps on happening. I don't know why that he looks like he's 12 years old there, but there you go. Maybe they don't have enough calories in China. Well, this guy has too many calories. Here's Rep. Jimmy Gomez, hit with a sexual assault allegation. This is Orange County Rep. So, of course, you already know this is a Democrat. When it says there's a sexual assault allegation, you already know it's a Democrat somewhere. Breaking. Democrat Congressman Jimmy Gomez has been accused of sexual assault. The House Ethics Committee opened an investigation. He has said that he has made, quote, personal mistakes outside my marriage. I just want to tell the beloved Miss Staple, I'm going to try using this one on her and see if it works. It's a personal mistake outside of my marriage. Isn't the problem that he's married, so it's technically inside the bounds of marriage? But his actions were consensual in nature. Now, I love that clarifier too. It's like, look, Democrats, I was cheating on my wife, but it was not sexual assault. Democrats have to say that now because usually, you have to clarify that kind of thing because with Swalwell and Ruben Gallego allegations and Plattner, it's just assault all the way up. So just wanted to let you all know this was consensual in nature. In nature? Is it consensual or not? Or was it just kind of consensual in nature? In nature. Attorneys representing the unnamed woman dispute his characterization and deny that the encounter was consensual. Oh, so consensual in nature, in other words, not consensual. And these are lawyers in Orange County. So they're all Democrats. These are Democrat lawyers against him saying he's an assaulter. That's who Democrats vote for. You guys will keep doing it all day. Gavin Newsom, who cheated on his wife on the campaign. Karen Bass, and I don't even know what sex she even is. This is him. This is Jimmy Gomez. He has served since 2017 in Orange County, California. Just flush your state down the toilet, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Republicans in Florida. Florida had 29 congressional district primaries just last night, and they have counted 99% of their votes. How does Florida in 29 congressional districts count 99% of their votes? California had one race last night, and they're still only at 62%. How can California, they only have one race. They're the ones that are fascinated by race and racism, and they can't count the votes. California 14th Congressional District special nonpartisan runoff election results. As of this morning, 62% of the votes are in and counting. This is why Buc-ee's, this is the president of Buc-ee's who says he's going to have a hard time opening Buc-ee's in blue states because they don't want business there.
We have a lot of opportunities. We're growing. We're building in a lot of places. But when you find a conservative, business-friendly state with a phenomenal workforce, it makes a difference. And I'm starting to realize life's too short to try to build in places that people don't appreciate what you're bringing.
Yep. California does not appreciate what Buc-ee's is bringing because Buc-ee's is a great American Southern brand. And California is Karen Bass. If you give her $5, the state will give 6 times that amount. That business model makes no sense. Let's get to the wackiness in Florida. Angie Nixon defeats Alex Vindman in Florida Senate Democrat primary. So Angie Nixon is an imbecile, crazy socialist Democrat lunatic, the DSA party. Alex Vindman is just a mere Democrat, and he got stomped. Vindman outspent Nixon nearly 13-1. So a frankly stunning upset, at least to me, and another primary win by a progressive candidate. That's not a progressive candidate. It's a Democrat socialist / communist lunatic. I call them Islamunists. They're all pro-Islam and pro-communist, so they're Islamunists. These are Islamunists over a much better funded establishment Democrat candidate. There she is stomping him by 10 points, 54% to 46% in conservative Florida. Let's check in on Angie Nixon. What kind of a person did they vote for? Well, I'll do the nice clip first, and then I'll do the mean one, okay? Here she is pretending to be nice. She thinks is both Black values and Florida values of going to drag queen strip shows.
I don't understand, like, there's no sexualization at a drag show. It's just people dressing up and singing and performing. I've taken my children to drag shows.
You've taken your children to drag shows.
And it's fun. It's fun. Entertainment. It's wholesome entertainment.
Oh, yeah, look at the black. Oh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Look at that lady, man. You can't nod any faster. Her head is nodding so fast, we just now discovered 0-point energy. It's like a turbine. She is generating electricity. Yeah, oh, yeah, sister. Are these Black people values? My Black people in the audience, tell me, are these your values? I brought my children to a drag queen, a man pelvic thrusting in a G-string is what I brought my children to. That lady on the left she's like Temu Dollar General Whoopi Goldberg over there. Can't nod fast enough.
Entertainment, and there's nothing wrong. It's just
wrong.
Like I don't get it.
I don't get it. Yeah, well, I don't know if she's married, but this is the version that her husband gets to see. Ready? Here she is, same lady. Holy smokes. I can't hear you over that dress.
If the violation of the Constitution comes out of order control and do it illegal, take it to the state of Georgia.
The gentlewoman across the aisle would like to speak, would like to have a disagreement with you. It is the accessories that make the outfit, and she got the same colored megaphone as that dress.
Isn't it amazing how they act? They're just absolutely freaking nuts. These liberal Democrats. And oh yeah, speaking of before when we talked about the race, yeah, the mainstream media and the liberals were all excited about the gay celebration, the gay pride celebration at the White House with trans guys going around topless. That was okay. Yeah, that was okay. But let's not have fireworks. No. Let's not have a race. No. We can't do that.
Well done, Florida. The drag queen watching, screaming. Her voice is so loud. Do you really need a megaphone? I don't get it. But Gavin Newsom, that's a total freak out on his part. Karen Bass, total freak out on her part. And now Florida. We can't all have Ron DeSantis, can we? I'm Doug in Exile.
All right. There we have it. I want to get it back here. I don't want us to skip on to the next video. But at any rate, this video does come from Doug in Exile. I am subscribed to his YouTube channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Unbelievable. These Democrats. And, there are people that I guess think this is great and vote for her because she does this. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, let's jump back here and listen to ACLJ Sekulow, American Center for Law and Justice, James Comey, Alibi, Crumbles, as texted photo released. Okay, well, let's check it out.
She looks it up and screenshots the definition, text it to him 2 minutes before he makes the official post.
Yeah.
So it's not also like he stumbled upon it and says, that's clever, snap, upload. No, he took the photo of the shell formation in question more than an hour before he actually made the post on Instagram.
You know, how many times can we talk about James Comey seashells? It feels like we're continually talking about the man's seashell issues. But here we are. There's new revelations, and these new revelations are somewhat the most human version of this, which is him going, I wonder if people could take this out of context before he decided to post it. Hey, honey, can you look up on your phone real quick? Can you Google, do a little quick Goog? What's 86 mean? Just to make sure, I'm not going to ruffle too many feathers. And she responded with it. Again, this is what happens when we get a deep dive here. And the deep dive is not only this interesting shell formation that he posted on social media, we know he at least now took a second to think about it.
Well, this is what's crazy when you look at this, but also maybe not surprising because he was the former director of the FBI. But this all comes out of a response from the government in this case, because James Comey and his attorneys had filed a motion to suppress some of the evidence against him, as well as requesting a Franks hearing. That would be trying to get things thrown out, saying that basically the prosecutors are being disingenuous with this case. As he has said from the beginning, that's his entire defense, is that, no, of course I didn't mean it as a threat to the president. The problem is that the evidence shows what appears to be him crafting an alibi to get away with posting this, which also shows that he knew maybe this could have been taken in a bad way.
2 minutes before he posted it, Comey's wife texted him a screenshot of the definition of 86 that said to get rid of or refuse service. Again, so some conversation had to lead to this, and I believe he said he was with his wife at the time. They were walking around. That's just old Grandpa Comey.
The crazy timeline is that he took the alleged photo of the shell formation at 1:56 p.m. And in the story, he was walking with his wife on the beach at the time. Then she texted him the exculpatory definition, the one that's the clear one, 2 minutes before he posts the social media post on Instagram of it. So after an hour after he takes the photo, he then decides I'm going to post it and says, maybe this is us extrapolating here, but honey, look that up. Make sure I'm in the clear before I post this. She looks it up and screenshots the definition, text it to him 2 minutes before he makes the official post. Yeah. So it's not also like he stumbled upon it and says, that's clever, snap, upload. No, he took the photo of the shell formation in question more than an hour before he actually made the post on Instagram. Now, this is what I assume, are trying to say is, look, it's an alibi. Look, I knew it wasn't
about
that. I have no intent for it to be a threat. Is that what it really shows? No, or does it show a very crafty man?
Well, to me, it shows that you thought that it could be.
Right.
So you are already saying, I thought that this could be construed as a threat to the president of the United States. Now, let's not forget, we got to play the highlights a little bit here, because this is not anyone who is, we know he loves the camera. We know he has not been shy about that. But we also know that this is not the first time he's been in hot water. The man has been considered a proclaimed loud and proud leaker to the press, was committing a lot of what could be debatably crimes during all of this controversy. Of course, meddling in the election, even to the behest of the Democrats, remember, getting involved in the Hillary Clinton situation, saying, we have all of these trunks of emails and all the things that she had done a couple days before the election, but, nothing's going to happen. And then we also know he was intentionally sending information to people to leak to the press.
That's right. And once again, it wouldn't be surprising that an individual that did this, what we're about to play, to show memos specifically to manipulate the system to get leaked to the press to try to get a special counsel would think ahead of time, hey, before I post this, honey, text me the screenshot of the definition so it's in our records for when I get investigated that I can show, look, we had this. What they were together.
Your wife said, maybe you shouldn't do this. Let's look it up. I mean, that could be an excellent.
But the other thing, too, is that they were together. That means there was a discussion about this. He said they were walking together on the beach. And the fact that, one, she texted the screenshot as if to memorialize this, something that he's very fond of, as well as some of the messages they got later from their friends. We'll talk about that in a minute. But would it be surprising that someone that said this in an interview, this is Byte 16, about why and how he tried to get a special counsel, tried to manipulate the system, would go to those lengths? Let's play Byte 16.
Did you show copies of your memos to anyone outside of the Department of Justice?
Yes.
And to whom did you show copies?
I asked, President tweeted on Friday after I got fired that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
And was that Mr. Wittes?
No, no.
Who was that?
A good friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia Law School.
So once again, he lays that out there, that he leaked memos to a friend at Columbia Law School, which if you've been following this, there's a lot of other rabbit trails we can go down with that friend. But what was the reason? To try and prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And one, he was successful. He manipulated the system there. But also there, it didn't dawn on me. There might originally be corroboration for our conversation. This is how he thinks. So the fact that a photo he took at 1:56 p.m. and then at 3:12 p.m., his wife texts him the definition of 86, and that does not include anything threatening, when even the government shows, hey, if you just Google this, and you look at the data, this is even before the conversation erupted because of his post. It was very easy to find that many people took it as a threat of violence, meaning to kill or murder. But then 2 minutes later, he makes the social media post. That kind of sounds like the kind of thing a guy who would leak to the New York Times memos to get a special counsel would plan in advance. It just kind of rings true, to quote his former colleague, John Brennan. And then an hour after that, almost 2 hours really, it was at 4:52, a friend reached out to his wife, very upset about the content of that, saying, your Trump derangement syndrome has gone too far. Why are you doing this? Don't you know some people will see that as a threat? There's other layers to this too. James Comey was selling a book at the time that was about rhetoric online being a vector for getting people to do things.
Well, of course.
Marching orders, so to speak. That was a plot line in his book. He had to have been thinking about that, especially with all this alibis that he gets out there. There's other text messages too, Logan, that show him between his publishers saying, I mean, it wasn't my intent, but if it sells books, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, look, I'm never shocked with any of this, because also I know that people will claim that social media rhetoric and all those things. And by the way, I'm totally on board with the idea of us becoming a much more civilized debater country where we actually can have these discussions. However, it's only one-sided. And I'll say that, by the way, for both sides here. It seems to be, yeah, I'm in favor of something like this and being better and not, forcing people to go to extreme measures because of stuff they see on a screen, if it, reflects me in the way that I want to be reflected. But if it's the other political party or the shoes on the other foot, then all of a sudden all is fair. And I don't like that at all. And I feel like there's way, way, way too many people who believe that. I want to take a phone call, though. Let's go to Will in Indiana on line 2. Will, go ahead.
I just wondered if this would make his wife a co-conspirator.
So what is interesting is the reason we're seeing this is because of their motion, the Comey defense team's motion to try and get
they're looking into it.
Certain information thrown out. But the fact that there's this timeline, we know that she made public statements as well, the wife, there could be an avenue, if that's what the Department of Justice wants to do, to look into that. I don't know. Publicly, she's not been charged with anything that I'm aware of. But yes, if it goes down that line and that they were saying to each other that one would probably have to flip on the other to get there. But the fact of it seems just so coordinated that, hey, let's memorialize this conversation of ours. And regardless of, in his mea culpa post, he said, like, I had no idea that some people used that language as meaning something violent. One, a lot of people pointed out that's absurd. You were the FBI director. You worked against mobsters. You know that was terminology that would be used. But on top of that, it also goes to show this evidence they have shows that they were having that conversation. There is no other reason, even if it is purely innocent, not just trying to memorialize it, and they got mad at each other and were in separate rooms, and she texted a screenshot instead of talking to him because they were just on a walk on the beach. But even if that's the answer, it shows they were having the conversation that some people could take this differently.
They could take it wrong. And I think that, to me, shows so much intent and so much information that we now have. It wasn't just a flippant, I took this picture 3 seconds later, I posted it, I didn't think about it. This is a discussion that was happening internally with him and his wife about whether it was worth them taking this risk.
All right, there you have it. What do you think, folks? I find it odd if they were walking together, why she didn't just say, here, see? See what I don't get it. I don't get it unless they were doing, like they said here, and trying to create an alibi of sorts. All right, well, let me click on the Rumble link here and jump over here and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. This is the video I just shared with you. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All righty then, let's jump back here and let's see. Susie Poll, 2016, just joined us, and Scramble Pad has joined us in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's move on here to Wendy Bell and see what she has to say. I was coerced. Okay. Well, let's check this out.
Visible with liberty and justice for all. Amen. To be perfectly honest with you, I've been searching for about 10 years now for an escape city. And it sounds kind of weird to say it that way. But I have been. I've been looking overpriced real estate listings online. In fact, it's my guilty pleasure. Some people go on QVC and buy things that they don't need. I scroll through ridiculously where will I go? That I want to do something different. That I want to take my husband away from the medical field here in Pittsburgh. That I don't think is living up to its reputation. It's become so bureaucratic. It's punishing. And as he walked out of the house at 3:30 in the morning to go cath a lady who was having an emergency, I thought, how long are we going to do this? How long? We're going to do it for a while because I don't have a clue yet, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful city. My community's fantastic. It's about 10 square blocks. It's one of those roads that you drive down, there's one main drag and some offshoots, maybe literally 10 blocks. A lot of cul-de-sacs. A lot of big, beautiful trees. Big, beautiful trees. And if you open up your sunroof, if you have one, and you drive down the street at dusk, you look up to the sky and there's this canopy, like you're in the treetops. And there's that orange bubble, that glow from the sun that kind of holds you in as the days of the summer end. It's a beautiful town. Until the liberals screwed it up. How's that for a frying pan to the face, right? Look, we lived in harmony for a while until Donald Trump, until one man turned very common sense people in my neighborhood, good people, hardworking people, educated people, professional people, moms, dads, grandparents, union workers, college professors, medical professionals, good people, turned them crazy, literally crazy. And I sat back and I watched it. Literally for 10 years since that man became president of the United States, I've watched the unwinding, the capture of my neighbors, the people who quickly put up the Black Lives Matter signs in 2020 after George Floyd because they didn't want their house probably to be next one targeted. I got a neighbor across the street who says a sign in her yard that says protect your neighbors from ICE, right? You can't talk to some people because they won't hear you. They don't understand. They don't want to. I guess it's easier to hate than it maybe is to believe and to understand that you've been conned. But my community, I can tell you for a fact, has been conned. And how do I know that? Well, I know it very regularly. Every time there's a bad rain, I can tell you our community has been conned. Why? What happened? Those of you who know me well know I bitch about this commonly, right? One drag in the whole little street that we live on, one drag, they decide to put in 2 roundabouts. There's no space for the roundabouts. If you go around the roundabout and somebody's in the crosswalk to your right, you come close to clipping them. I can't tell you how many times I've come close to hitting a dog or a pedestrian or a biker. There's no room. They did it anyway. I don't remember any public announcement. I don't remember any time that we were able to discuss what a dumb plan this would be. Oh, it would be traffic mitigation. Oh, we would make lives safer for the bicyclists, right? Really? The 8 of them that I see right down the street, we're going to completely fundamentally change all of the traffic stuff. Now, see, there's a residual effect of this. They didn't just put in roundabouts, ladies and gentlemen, and speed humps and traffic cones and all those downhill slalom course markings all over the ground in our community. They fudged up the sewer system, right? Well, we got to make everything ADA compliant. I don't have a problem with that. I don't see anybody necessarily in a wheelchair in my neighborhood, but I get the strategy. People have strollers. I get it. So they took every single intersection, every single corner, and they redid the corners. And then they put these grates on the sewers so that debris couldn't get in. Probably necessary in some degree, but here's the rub. Every time there's a heavy rain and all the water comes down into these areas, what happens? Yeah, you know what happens. It looks like, as Brock said this morning, a beaver dam. It's a beaver dam on top of all of these sewer grates. And what happens? Oh, the roundabouts, they go underwater. Now, what's the benefit of that to my neighborhood? Who benefits from that? I'm sure it was $500,000 to do all of this, if not more. And I know we paid for it. I didn't vote for it, but we paid for it. And predictably, like the cicadas that come back, the back to school bugs that chirp at you and let you know, oh, snap, it's time to go back to school. Summer's over. You know that with a nice, good rain, everything's going to be underwater. You know what happens? The good liberal neighbors who live on the corner scurry outside when the rain clouds move away, and they get their rake and their gloves and their bucket, and they scoop out all of the debris like good little Democrat soldiers to make sure the water can go down. It is the dumbest thing you've ever seen. Look, I'm not a plumber. I'm not an engineer, and I sure as heck am not a Democrat. But why do you have to break things that are working well? Why do you have to reinvent stuff to make it bogged down? Why do you have to gum up the works and slow down our progress? Why do you have to create new rules and regulations? And why the hell do I have to pay for it? I didn't vote for it. I did vote for Donald Trump 3 times. And you've gotten in the way every single daggone time. Like my stupid neighbor around the corner who brought in a full-size, swear to God, the thing was 30 feet tall, big, giant Donald Trump inflatable duck. Because they thought that was hilarious on election day. And I'm like, you realize that that guy's closing the border and shipping out 20 million people that your Doomcoff invited in with the puppeteer Barack Obama. You do realize that our public school situation here in Pittsburgh, where there is a scarcity of children who can read and do math at grade level. You do realize that is a product of you and your lousy policies. And the school board here that has been run by Democrats for decades. Republicans don't even think about running anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Why would you? And then one day, you wake up and you say it's time for something else. I got a news flash for Pittsburgh, beautiful town. I've loved it for 28 years. I consider it my hometown. You're going to let people ruin stuff to a point of no return. And the conservative people in the community, by the way, who have money, aren't going to want to pay for it anymore. They're going to be done with your empty promises. They're going to be done with the failing schools. They're going to be done with the medical system that promises things but doesn't deliver. They're going to be done. And they're going to go somewhere warmer and cleaner and more affordable and more conservative. And you, my fair friends, Democrats here in the city of Pittsburgh, will be left holding the bag. Enough, I think. The challenge now is to figure out whether staying and fighting is worth it, or if the uphill battle is so daunting it's not. Isn't that a shame? And how many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Caroline Levitt, she's a star, wants to see her family. I get it. She's stepping aside. Who's the next heir apparent? CNN, is that the place where we're going to find this individual? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Yeah, all right, well, let's move it up here and find out what she's got to say about that. She always has good stuff by Karen.
Ho, 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 it's magic, you know.
Well, so who's the name, you guys think? Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, you can gloss over the job of White House press secretary. Under Joe Biden, it was about somebody who needed to lie. And Jen Psaki, she did it for a while. Circle back, Jen, right? I'll circle back with you. No, you won't. You'll just stand here and you'll lie and we'll reward you with some anchor position of some stupid show on MSNBC. Then there was the most diverse press secretary ever, Karine Jean-Pierre, who sadly was just a low IQ individual. There's just no other way to put it. She was terrible. Their job was to lie, to run interference, to be a smokescreen, to play cover, to basically throw everybody off the track. The scent of what was going on in the government. Donald Trump has a different strategy. It's unparalleled transparency. And Caroline Levitt's job is to convey what the president is doing and what the cabinet is doing to the reporters, who will then lie about it, right? Go off on tangents, make up fake news, and then push that out to the people. Caroline says, I'm done. Gotcha. Scott Jennings last night on Abby Phillips' show, right? He's asked if he wants to be the next one. What do you think about that, Scott? Listen to what he says. This is very important.
Next question. Is Scott Jennings interviewing for press secretary? Someone wants to know.
Well, I don't have any comment about that, but it's an important job. And because that person has to represent the most powerful person in the world in the entire U.S. government. And, what they say matters. And it's been one of the most storied and important roles in government. Whoever gets it, it's a big responsibility. And I think
if you were offered it, would you take it?
Well, I'm not gonna answer that.
Sounds like a politician.
Well, I'm not gonna. I mean, look, the reality is that job. I think every president deserves a good, solid defense and someone who can go out there and explain what they're doing, because the government's doing so much. And I also think the American people deserve somebody to go out there and tell them what's going on with their president and with the government as much as they can. That job is the conduit to transparency in front of the camera and also behind the scenes, and that's an important part of it.
So Scott, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Have you spoken to the White House about this job?
Oh, I speak to the White House all the time.
About the press secretary job?
Not going to talk about it.
I would have asked him if he really talked to Mitch McConnell. I mean, I would have been like, hey, I got, inquiring minds, Scott, my man, want to know. Did you actually really talk to Mitch McConnell? Because, it's been 68 days, y'all. We haven't seen proof of life. We're going to talk about that later. But the reason he talks about transparency, you'd have to be willing to slam your head against a wall every single day as the press secretary for President Trump, because you'd want to convey the good work that he's trying to accomplish, but you would know every day, sort of like me with my neighbors in the stupid roundabouts, nobody's listening to you. They're going to go do whatever they want to do, and what they want to do is to tarnish the administration. Let's go back. Speaking of transparency, I want to go back to Jen Psaki. Seems like a long time ago. 2021. Listen to this clip when she told us the administration's top priority during COVID. It wasn't getting people back on the job. It wasn't opening up our businesses. It wasn't getting kids back in school. It was about tracking and hunting down disinformation, working with social media companies to silence our voices so its bogus narrative could be forced upon us through influencers. This was Joe freaking Biden's press secretary.
In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts who are popular with their audiences with accurate information and boost trusted content. So we're helping get trusted content out there. We also created the COVID Community Corps to get factual information into the hands of local messengers. And we're also investing, as you all have seen, in the president's, the vice president's, and Dr. Fauci's time in meeting with influencers who also have large reaches to a lot of these target audiences who can spread and share accurate information.
When something works, when you're telling the truth, you don't need to rent a freaking billboard. You don't need to hire somebody to be like, look, I really need you to tell your people about this. It's fabulous. Because people know. Because people trust you. The administration, she just said we're working with Facebook. Guess who fired during that time? I did. Guess whose Facebook page got hijacked during that time? Mine did. Guess who lost more than 300,000 people? I did. And she freaking told us that was the play. Their job was convincing you to roll up your sleeve and roll the dice. Don't ever forget what these people did to us. Ever. Okay, I'm so glad I got that out of my system. Like, we all knew we were living in a simulation, right? Hey, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, burying the hatchet is not what the deep state wants President Trump and Michael Cohen to do. But yesterday on WABC radio, they did, and now the freak out. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. This will be in my daily news wrap-up, along with the video from Vince. So be sure to join us for that. Let me click on this Rumble link here and show you that I think she got just a little bit upset there. I don't know. What do you think, folks? But at any rate, clicking on the Rumble link takes us over here to the video that I just shared with you from Wendy Bell Radio. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's go ahead and jump back here. And hi, Foxy Grandma. I'm glad you could join us. Let me go ahead and give you some hearts here. There we go. Boom. All right. Now let me copy this chat into a live stream. Okay. Or copy the chat into a comment, so it will be a permanent part of this live stream. Okay, there we go. Good deal. And let me remind you, folks, that these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted on Murtec.com. They come directly from the producer. I've got the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel. And as I said, these videos I have posted on Murtec.com. Right down here is the video from Silverlock. Vince. Down here is Wendy Bell. Up here is Doug in Exile. And right there is ACLJ Sekulow. Okay, I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic and truth videos. The kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. Okay? Now, I do have this information in my daily news wrap-up playlist. Okay? Here we go. Wendy Bell and all this information. It says I have 24 videos here. So we'll get into that. But as of right now, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink. And meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll get this all set up. Let me set it up in Rumble Studio, and then we'll get it going here. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.